A voice in your head sang over and over. Police business! Why? Who's gonna arrest me? Other cops?
Yes.
Is she serious? It seems Mr. Drebin might be more of a problem than we thought. I want you to keep an eye on him.
This oven is disgusting.
Sure. I won't stop until I've found...
What do you want, little one?
Nobody messes with Police Squad.
Oh!
This place is full.
What happens when slapstick comedy meets crime drama? You get one of the funniest cult classics ever made. Today on Hidden Real Fact, we're diving into The Naked Gun, a movie packed with outrageous gags, clever parodies, and behind-the-scenes facts you probably never knew. This article is about the 2025 movie. For other uses, see Naked Gun, disambiguation. The Naked Gun. Multiple hands are grabbing Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr., Liam Neeson's body, while one of Drebin Jr.'s hands is holding a gun, a woman's back, and her left leg. The tagline at the top says, "Look out crime, he's fully armed." Theatrical release poster, directed by Akiva Schaffer, written by Dan Greger, Doug Mand, Akiva Schaffer, based on Police Squad, by David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, Jerry Zucker, produced by Seth MacFarlane, Erica Huggins, starring Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, Kevin Durand, Danny Houston. Cinematography, Brandon Trost. Edited by Brian Scott Olds. Music by Lorne Balfe. Production company, Fuzzy Door Productions. Distributed by Paramount Pictures. Release dates, July 28, 2025, SVA Theater, August 1, 2025, United States. Running time, 85 minutes. Country, United States. Language, English. Budget, $42 million. Box office, $102 million. The Naked Gun is a 2025 American action comedy movie directed by Akiva Schaffer, who also co-wrote the script with Dan Greger and Doug Mand. It is a sequel to Naked Gun 33A, The Final Insult, 1994, and is the fourth movie in the Naked Gun series. The film stars Liam Neeson in the lead role, with Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, Kevin Durand, and Danny Houston in supporting roles. The story follows the son of Lieutenant Frank Drebin, who has to take on his father's legacy to stop Police Squad from being shut down. Plans for a fourth Naked Gun movie were first announced in 2009 as a TV sequel starring Leslie Nielsen, with Alan Spencer writing the script. However, the project was cancelled after Spencer left and Nielsen passed away. The idea stayed in development for years, and in 2013, it was reworked as a reboot starring Ed Helms, but that version did not move forward. In January 2021, it was officially revealed that Seth MacFarlane would develop the project, and he mentioned wanting Liam Neeson for the main role. Even though MacFarlane was first set to direct, Akiva Schaffer took over after the movie was approved in October 2022, and Neeson was officially cast. Pamela Anderson joined in April 2024, with other cast members added the following month. Filming began in Atlanta, Georgia in May and finished in June. The Naked Gun premiered at the SVA Theater in Manhattan on July 28, 2025, and was released in the United States by Paramount Pictures on August 1, 2025. The film received positive reviews from critics and earned $102 million worldwide against its $42 million budget. The journey to cast the 2025 iteration of The Naked Gun began long before Liam Neeson was ever considered for the role of Frank Drebin Jr. Back in 2009, Paramount Pictures announced plans for a fourth film in the franchise, intended as a direct-to-TV sequel titled The Naked Gun, What For? The Rhythm of Evil. This project was set to star Leslie Nielsen, the iconic actor who had originated the role of Lieutenant Frank Drebin in the original trilogy. Nielsen's portrayal had defined the character as a bumbling, deadpan detective whose incompetence led to hilarious chaos, and the studio aimed to capitalize on his enduring popularity. Alan Spencer, known for his work on Sledgehammer, was attached to write the script, which followed Drubin training a young Rocky, effectively passing the torch to a new generation while keeping Neeson central. Spencer's involvement was described by him as a rescue mission to prevent an inferior sequel from tarnishing the franchise's legacy. He crafted a sizable role for Neeson, emphasizing the actor's unique comedic timing and physical comedy skills, which had made the original films classics. Early drafts impressed Paramount executives and even garnered positive feedback from online reviewers, briefly shifting the project from TV to theatrical consideration. However, financial constraints derailed the plans. Paramount requested Spencer to reduce Neeson's part to a mere cameo to cut costs, and eventually, they decided to eliminate the character entirely. This led to Spencer's departure from the project, as he felt it compromised the integrity of the story. The Zucker Zaz team, the original creators, also attempted to halt the production, viewing it as a deviation from their vision. Tragically, Neeson passed away in November 2010 at the age of 84. Sealing the fate of this iteration. His death not only ended any hopes of his return but also left a void in the franchise's comedic heart. Neeson's casting in the originals had been a masterstroke. Originally a dramatic actor known for roles in films like Forbidden Planet, 1956, and The Poseidon Adventure, 1972, his shift to comedy in Airplane, 1980, showcased his impeccable straight-faced delivery, which became the blueprint for Drubin. The 2009 attempt highlighted the challenges of recasting or repurposing such an iconic figure, setting the stage for future reboots to grapple with how to honor Neeson without imitating him directly. The Ed Helms reboot, a new Drubin and comedic shifts. By December 2013, Paramount pivoted to a full reboot, announcing Ed Helms as the new Frank Drubin. Helms, fresh off his success in the Hangover trilogy and as Andy Bernard on The Office, was seen as a fitting choice for his everyman charm and ability to play half-plus characters. The script, co-written by Thomas Lennon and Robert Van Garant, known for Reno 911, carried the working title Episode 4, A New Hope, nodding to Star Wars while positioning the film as a sequel. Helms' character was to introduce himself as Frank Drubin, no relation, allowing the story to forge a new path without contradicting the originals. This casting decision reflected a broader trend in Hollywood reboots, selecting actors who could bring fresh energy while echoing the spirit of the predecessor. Helms' comedic style, awkward, self-deprecating humor aligned with Drubin's obliviousness, but it also aimed to update the character for modern audiences. In a January 2014 interview, Garant explained the approach, emphasizing the need to avoid retreading old ground. However, development stalled amid concerns about the spoof genre's viability. David Zucker, offered a producing role in March 2015, declined, stating the project would differ too much in style and likely be inferior. He worried about audience reception in an era where parodies like Scary Movie had saturated the market. Helms himself addressed these issues in August 2015. Confirming the script was still in progress and acknowledging the need for innovation beyond simple spoofs. His potential casting highlighted a key debate. Could a reboot succeed by recasting Drubin directly, or did it need a legacy element like a son or relative? Ultimately, this version languished, but it paved the way for exploring Drubin's lineage, influencing later drafts. David Zucker and Pat Proft's Secret Agent West, casting the son of Drubin in March 2017, David Zucker and Pat Proft took over script revisions, reimagining the plot around Frank Drubin's son as a secret agent rather than a cop. This shift aimed to parody contemporary action franchises like Mission Impossible, The Bourne Identity, and Daniel Craig's James Bond films. The script, originally titled The Naked Gun 444 1/4, Nordberg did it and later Naked Impossible, sought to modernize the parody by targeting current genres. As Zucker noted, they don't make cop movies anymore. When you do parody, you've got to spoof something current. Casting considerations here focused on finding an actor who could embody a more action-oriented, yet comically inept, protagonist. While no specific names were publicly attached, the concept of Drubin Jr. as a secret agent suggested a performer with physical presence and comedic chops. Perhaps someone like Chris Pratt or Ryan Reynolds, who had succeeded in blending action and humor. Paramount liked the 2018 script, but by 2019, internal changes halted progress. Zucker recounted a meeting where a female production head objected to a mild joke about a police officer adjusting her Kevlar vest, damning it offensive. This highlighted evolving sensitivities in Hollywood, influencing how casting and scripting balanced edginess with inclusivity. Zucker's reluctance to involve himself further stemmed from creative differences, but this phase solidified the Son of Durban concept, which would become central to the 2025 film. Seth MacFarlane's involvement and the casting of Liam Neeson. The turning point came in January 2021 when Seth MacFarlane was hired to develop the project. MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy and director of Dead, had expressed interest in casting Liam Neeson as Frank Durban Jr. as early as 2015. Neeson, known for intense action roles in Taken and dramatic turns in Schindler's List, seemed an unlikely choice for slapstick comedy. Yet, MacFarlane saw potential in Neeson's gravelly voice and stoic demeanor, which could amplify the deadpan humor akin to Nielsen's. Paramount approached Neeson with the pitch, and by June 2021, he voiced excitement about exploring comedy, citing the script's ongoing development. In February 2022, Neeson confirmed negotiations, noting the studio's persistence. The film was greenlit in October 2022, with Akiva Schaffer, of The Lonely Island, replacing MacFarlane as director due to scheduling. Schaffer, along with writers Dan Gregor and Doug Mand, refined the script, incorporating contributions from Mark Handeman, Alex Salkin, and MacFarlane. Neeson's casting was official, positioning him as Durban's son, a legacy sequel approach that honored the originals while allowing fresh storytelling. In a July 2025 Variety interview, Neeson explained the reboot's necessity. Audiences need laughter now more than ever. His preparation involved studying Nielsen's films, focusing on timing without imitation. Reviews praised this choice. Rotten Tomatoes consensus highlighted Neeson's gravelly gravitas fitting Durban's buffoonery perfectly. IndieWire's David Ehrlich gave it a B+, noting the delicate balance of nostalgia and new humor. Fan reactions on X, formerly Twitter, were mixed initially but turned positive post-release. User @ScottMightKnow rated it 2.5 but praised Neeson's deadpan delivery, while @Nazaz58Real called it 10/10, lauding the casting. Neeson's involvement also drew from his comedic cameos, like in Dead 2, proving his versatility. Pamela Anderson, from original offer to leading lady. Pamela Anderson's casting as Beth Davenport, Durban Jr.'s love interest, added layers of meta-humor and nostalgia. Announced in April 2024, Anderson was originally offered the role of Tanya Peters in Naked Gun 33A, The Final Insult, 1994, which went to Anna Nicole Smith. This full-circle moment was highlighted in a July 2025 Cinema Blend article, noting how it worked out. After 3 decades, Anderson, iconic for Baywatch and her memoir Love, Pamela, brought breathless sultriness and earnestness to Beth, a crime novelist hating Durban. Her performance included improvised scat singing and a bizarre snowman threesome scene, detailed in a Variety interview where director Schaffer praised her commitment. Anderson discussed the role in a YouTube interview with Neeson, sharing their chemistry and fun on set. Critics lauded her. Deadline's review called her pairing with Neeson impeccable. Ex-users like @Pamela Anderson promoted the film, garnering 1M likes. Her casting subverted expectations, blending 90s sex symbol status with modern empowerment, as seen in her scat distraction scene. Paul Walter Hauser as Captain Ed Hawkins Jr., a scent of comedy. Paul Walter Hauser joined in May 2024 as Captain Ed Hawkins Jr., succeeding Ricardo Montalbán. His original. Hauser, acclaimed for Richard Jewell and Cruella, brought understated humor, though some reviews noted his role was underutilized. In a July 2025 Deadline interview, Hauser discussed balancing The Naked Gun with Fantastic Four, emphasizing physical comedy. A YouTube featurette highlighted his central pun, tied to a plot gag. GQ's August 2025 profile praised his versatility. On X, @FilmGuru Review 1 noted solid casting, contributing to the film's 88% Rotten Tomatoes score. Kevin Durand and Danny Huston, the villainous duo. Kevin Durand's undisclosed villain role, announced May 2024, fit his history of antagonists in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. As Sig Gustafsson, he hemmed it up, as per IMDb reviews. In a May 2024 Bleeding Cool interview, Durand enjoyed comedic villainy. Danny Huston, joining shortly after, played Richard Kane, a tech billionaire parodying Elon Musk. Collider's August 2025 piece called him the biggest scene stealer. In a YouTube interview, Huston discussed embracing over-the-top evil. His casting drew from dramatic roles in Wonder Woman, adding gravitas to absurdity. Additional supporting cast: Liza Koshy, Cody Rhodes, CCH Pounder, and Busta Rhymes. The ensemble rounded out with Liza Koshy's modern flair, WWE's Cody Rhodes for physical comedy, CCH Pounder's authoritative Chief Davis, and Busta Rhymes' cameo-like energy. May 2024 announcements via Deadline emphasized diversity. Rhodes' wrestling background enhanced fight scenes, while Pounder's presence added weight. Cameos, honoring tradition with surprise appearances. Cameos continued the franchise's tradition, where Dal Yankovic in a post-credits scene, his fourth MMA stars like John Anik, Michael Bisping, Justin Gaethje, Kamaru Usman, Dave Bautista and Priscilla Presley reprising Jane Spencer Durbin. Deadline and People listed these, with Presley's blink and miss it moment explained in Screen Rant as a nostalgic nod. Ex-posts from @Luigi_Cunico praised cameos, boosting the film's 10/10 rating. Fan and critical reactions to the casting choices post-release. Reactions celebrated the ensemble. @Oshio World One critiqued but praised Neeson's Loco's casting. @Big King Badger gave it high marks for honoring dumb humor. Critical consensus on Metacritic, 75 1/100ths, and Cinema Score, A. Affirmed choices, with Time Out's Hannah Flint giving 5 stars for legacy honoring. Interviews like Motion Pictures with writers Gregor and Mann revealed how they tailored absurdity for Neeson and Anderson. Overall, casting blended nostalgia, surprise, and modernity, driving $102 million box office. The Naked Gun, 2025, casting analysis. The casting choices for The Naked Gun, 2025, represent a fascinating blend of established Hollywood talent, comedy veterans, and unexpected crossover performers that collectively signal a bold new direction for the beloved franchise. The film's ensemble cast, led by Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr., demonstrates Paramount Pictures' commitment to both honoring the legacy of the original films while simultaneously modernizing the property for contemporary audiences. Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr., the unexpected leading man. The casting of Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr. stands as perhaps the most intriguing and unconventional choice in the entire production. Neeson, primarily known for his dramatic work in films like Schindler's List and his later career transformation into an action star through the Taken franchise, represents a significant departure from the casting philosophy of the original Naked Gun trilogy. Leslie Nielsen, who portrayed the original Frank Drebin, was known for his deadpan delivery and natural comedic timing, having transitioned from dramatic television roles to become a comedy icon. Neeson's involvement in the project began through Seth MacFarlane's vision, with the Family Guy creator specifically targeting the Irish actor for the role as early as 2015. MacFarlane's interest in Neeson suggests a deliberate strategy to leverage the actor's serious, gravitas-heavy persona as a comedic counterpoint to the absurd situations that define the Naked Gun universe. This casting philosophy mirrors Nielsen's own career trajectory, where his dramatic background provided the perfect foundation for deadpan comedy delivery. The decision to cast Neeson also reflects broader trends in modern comedy filmmaking, where established dramatic actors are increasingly sought after for comedic roles. Neeson's natural intensity and commanding screen presence could provide an interesting contrast to the bumbling nature of the Drebin character, potentially creating humor through the juxtaposition of his serious demeanor against ridiculous circumstances. From a franchise continuity perspective, Having Neeson play Frank Drebin Jr. rather than attempting to replace Neeson directly shows respect for the original while allowing creative freedom. This approach acknowledges that Neeson's portrayal was irreplaceable while creating space for a new interpretation of the character within the same universe. The casting suggests that the film will explore themes of legacy and inheritance, both literally within the story and metaphorically within the franchise itself. Neeson's involvement also brings significant star power to the project, potentially attracting audiences who might not otherwise be interested in a Naked Gun reboot. His established fan base from action films could provide a bridge between different audience demographics, expanding the potential viewership beyond traditional comedy fans. Pamela Anderson as Beth, a strategic nostalgia play. The casting of Pamela Anderson as Beth represents a calculated nostalgia play that connects directly to the cultural zeitgeist of the original Naked Gun era. Anderson, who rose to fame during the 1990s through Baywatch and became a cultural icon of that decade, embodies the same kind of bombshell archetype that was central to the original film's humor and aesthetic. Anderson's casting is particularly significant given her recent career renaissance, marked by critically acclaimed performances and a renewed public appreciation for her contributions to pop culture. Her involvement in the Naked Gun reboot comes at a time when she has successfully transitioned from tabloid fixture to respected performer, adding layers of cultural commentary to her casting that extend beyond mere nostalgic appeal. The choice to cast Anderson also reflects an understanding of the original film's relationship with 1980s and 1990s pop culture. The Naked Gun trilogy was known for its references to contemporary celebrities and cultural phenomena, and Anderson's presence serves as a direct link to that era while simultaneously commenting on how those cultural touchstones have evolved. From a comedic perspective, Anderson's well-documented sense of humor about her own image and celebrity status makes her an ideal fit for the self-aware comedy style that defines the Naked Gun franchise. Her willingness to parody herself and engage with the absurdist elements of her public persona aligns perfectly with the franchise's tradition of celebrity cameos and pop culture satire. Anderson's casting also suggests that the film will maintain the original trilogy's approach to female characters, which often balanced sexual comedy with surprisingly strong character development. Her experience in both comedic and dramatic roles provides the versatility necessary to navigate the tonal complexities that such a character would require. Paul Walter Hauser as Captain Ed Haken, character actor excellence. The casting of Paul Walter Hauser as Captain Ed Haken represents one of the most inspired choices in the entire ensemble. Hauser, who has built a reputation as one of Hollywood's most reliable character actors through performances in I, Tonya, Black Klansman, and Cobra Kai, brings both comedic chops and dramatic credibility to the role originally made memorable by George Kennedy. Hauser's natural ability to blend humor with pathos makes him perfectly suited for the Haken character, who traditionally serves as both straight man and comic foil to Frank Drebin. His previous work demonstrates an understanding of how to ground absurd situations in emotional reality, a skill that will be crucial for maintaining the heart that distinguished the original films from mere slapstick comedies. The physical contrast between Hauser and Neeson also creates interesting visual comedy opportunities. Where Kennedy and Neeson had a more conventional buddy cop dynamic, Hauser's distinctive appearance and energy could create new comedic possibilities while honoring the essential relationships between the characters. Hauser's casting reflects the film's broader strategy of employing actors known for their dramatic range in comedic roles. His work in projects like Richard Jewell demonstrates his ability to find humanity in flawed characters, a quality that could add depth to what might otherwise be a purely comedic role. From a franchise perspective, Hauser's involvement signals that the new film will prioritize character development alongside physical comedy. His reputation for thorough character preparation suggests that Captain Haken will be more than just a plot device, potentially developing into a fully realized character who can carry emotional weight when the story requires it. Kevin Durand as the villain. Genre mastery. Kevin Durand's casting in an undisclosed villain role brings considerable genre expertise to the Naked Gun reboot. Durand, known for his work in horror films, thrillers, and action movies, possesses the physical presence and acting range necessary to create a memorable antagonist within the franchise's comedic framework. Duran's extensive experience in genre filmmaking makes him particularly well-suited for the Naked Gun's approach to villain characterization. The original films were known for creating villains who were simultaneously threatening and absurd, requiring actors who could maintain menace while participating in increasingly ridiculous scenarios. His imposing physical presence provides an interesting counterpoint to the bumbling heroics typical of Naked Gun protagonists. At 6'6" with a naturally intimidating demeanor, Duran can serve as a credible physical threat while still participating in the franchise's trademark slapstick comedy. The decision to keep Duran's specific role undisclosed suggests that his character may involve significant plot surprises or multiple identity reveals, both common elements in Naked Gun storytelling. His versatility as an actor would allow for such narrative complexity while maintaining the comedic tone essential to the franchise. Duran's casting also reflects the production's commitment to maintaining the action-comedy balance that defined the original films. His experience in both action and comedy projects positions him to help bridge those genres effectively, ensuring that the film's comedic elements don't undermine its action sequences or vice versa. Danny Huston. Sophisticated antagonism. Danny Huston's involvement in the Naked Gun reboot adds a layer of sophisticated menace that could elevate the film's villain roster significantly. Huston, son of legendary director John Huston, has built a career specializing in complex antagonists and morally ambiguous characters across both independent and blockbuster productions. Huston's natural elegance and cultured demeanor make him ideal for the type of sophisticated villain that the Naked Gun franchise has historically employed. His ability to convey intelligence and cunning while maintaining the slightly over-the-top quality necessary for effective comedy villains positions him perfectly within the franchise's established villain archetype. The casting of Huston also reflects the production's apparent strategy of employing actors with strong dramatic credentials in comedic roles. His extensive experience in serious dramatic work provides the gravitas necessary to ground the film's more absurd elements, while his understanding of genre conventions allows him to participate effectively in the comedic aspects. Huston's international appeal and recognition factor also serve the film's commercial interests, particularly in overseas markets where his dramatic work has earned significant recognition. His presence in the cast signals that the production is taking seriously the challenge of creating a comedy that works across different cultural contexts. From a storytelling perspective, Huston's casting suggests that the film's villain or villains will possess the kind of sophisticated menace that made the original trilogy's antagonists memorable. His ability to deliver exposition convincingly while maintaining character integrity could prove crucial for establishing the film's central conflict. Liza Koshy. Digital age comedy. The casting of Liza Koshy represents the Naked Gun reboot's most direct acknowledgement of contemporary digital culture and its impact on comedy. Koshy, who rose to fame through social media platforms before transitioning to traditional entertainment, brings a modern comedic sensibility that could help bridge generational gaps in the film's audience appeal. Koshy's background in digital content creation provides her with an intuitive understanding of contemporary humor styles and trending comedic formats. Her ability to adapt her comedic timing to different platforms and audiences suggests she can successfully integrate into the established Naked Gun comedic framework while bringing fresh perspectives. Her casting also reflects the entertainment industry's broader recognition of digital native performers as legitimate comedic talents. Koshy's successful transition from social media to mainstream entertainment, including hosting duties for major events and roles in traditional productions, demonstrates her versatility and professional growth. From a demographic perspective, Koshy's involvement could attract younger audiences who might not otherwise be familiar with the Naked Gun franchise. Her established fan base represents a significant marketing advantage, potentially expanding the film's reach into demographics that traditional comedy marketing might not effectively target. The specific nature of Koshy's role remains undisclosed, but her comedic background suggests she could excel in either a supporting character role that showcases her improvisational skills or as part of an ensemble that allows her to play off more established comedic performers. Cody Rhodes, wrestling entertainment crossover. The inclusion of Cody Rhodes, professional wrestler and current WWE performer, and the Naked Gun cast represents an intriguing crossover between wrestling entertainment and traditional filmmaking. Rhodes, who has built a reputation as one of professional wrestling's most charismatic performers, brings both physical comedy potential and established entertainment credentials to the production. Rhodes' background in wrestling entertainment provides him with extensive experience in character work, improvisation, and physical performance that could translate effectively to film comedy. Professional wrestling's emphasis on larger-than-life characters and exaggerated storytelling aligns well with the Naked Gun franchise's comedic sensibilities. His casting also reflects Hollywood's increasing recognition of professional wrestlers as viable performers in other entertainment mediums. The success of wrestlers-turned-actors like Dwayne Johnson and John Cena has opened doors for performers like Rhodes to explore opportunities beyond the wrestling ring. From a marketing perspective, Rhodes' involvement could attract wrestling fans to the film, representing a significant and passionate demographic that might not otherwise prioritize a comedy film. Wrestling entertainment has historically shown strong crossover potential with action comedy films, making Rhodes' casting a potentially savvy commercial decision. The physical demands of professional wrestling have likely prepared Rhodes for the kind of physical comedy that the Naked Gun franchise demands. His experience with comedic timing and audience interaction through wrestling entertainment could translate effectively to the more structured environment of film production. CCH Pounder, veteran gravitas. The casting of CCH Pounder brings significant acting gravitas and institutional knowledge to the Naked Gun reboot. Pounder, whose career spans decades and includes memorable roles across television and film, represents the kind of established talent that can provide stability and credibility to an ensemble comedy cast. Pounder's extensive experience in police procedurals, particularly her long-running role on Sis, New Orleans, makes her particularly well-suited for the Naked Gun's law enforcement setting. Her natural authority and commanding screen presence could provide an effective contrast to the bumbling protagonists while maintaining the believability necessary for the comedy to work. Her casting also demonstrates the production's commitment to diversity and inclusion, bringing an experienced performer of color into a franchise that historically lacked significant diversity in its main cast. Pounder's presence could help modernize the franchise's representation while benefiting from her considerable comedic timing and dramatic range. From a storytelling perspective, Pounder's involvement suggests that the film will include authority figures who can provide exposition and drive plot development while participating in the comedic elements. Her ability to maintain dignity while participating in absurd situations could prove crucial for grounding the film's more outlandish comedic moments. Pounder's respected status within the entertainment industry also lends credibility to the entire production, signaling to audiences and critics that the film is being approached seriously despite its comedic nature. Busta Rhymes, hip-hop comedy integration. The inclusion of Busta Rhymes in the Naked Gun cast represents a fascinating intersection between hip-hop culture and mainstream comedy filmmaking. Rhymes, whose music career has been marked by creative visual concepts and comedic elements, brings both star power and comedic experience to the production. Rhymes' natural comedic timing and larger-than-life personality make him well-suited for the Naked Gun's absurdist comedy style. His music videos and public appearances have consistently demonstrated his willingness to engage in self-parody and physical comedy, qualities that align perfectly with the franchise's comedic requirements. His casting also reflects the production's apparent strategy of including performers who bring their own established fanbases to the project. Rhymes' involvement could attract hip-hop fans and urban audiences who might not otherwise prioritize a Naked Gun film, potentially expanding the franchise's demographic appeal significantly. From a cultural perspective, Rhymes' presence in the cast helps modernize the franchise's cultural references and comedic touchstones. The original trilogy was deeply rooted in 1980s and 1990s pop culture, and including contemporary hip-hop culture through Rhymes' casting could help the reboot feel relevant to current audiences. The specific nature of Rhymes' role remains undisclosed, but his background suggests he could excel in a character that allows for musical elements or showcases his natural comedic timing and improvisational skills. Ensemble chemistry and casting philosophy. The overall casting strategy for The Naked Gun, 2025, reveals a sophisticated understanding of both the franchise's historical strengths and the contemporary entertainment landscape. The combination of established dramatic actors, comedy veterans, digital age performers, and crossover talents suggests a deliberate attempt to create something both familiar and fresh. The casting philosophy appears to prioritize actors who bring external credibility and established fan bases while possessing the comedic skills necessary for the franchise's specific style. This approach could help the film appeal to multiple demographic groups while maintaining the comedic integrity that made the original trilogy successful. The diversity of the cast, both in terms of backgrounds and performance styles, suggests that the film will attempt to balance multiple comedic approaches rather than relying solely on the deadpan style that defined Neeson's performance. This could allow for a richer comedic texture while still honoring the franchise's core identity. The inclusion of both veteran performers and contemporary talents indicates a production strategy designed to appeal across generational lines. By combining respected industry veterans with popular contemporary performers, the casting could help the film find success with both nostalgic audiences and new viewers. Directorial influence on casting. Akiva Schaffer's role as director has undoubtedly influenced the casting choices throughout the production. As a member of the Lonely Island comedy troupe, Schaffer brings extensive experience in both digital and traditional comedy formats, which likely informed the decision to include performers from various entertainment backgrounds. Schaffer's previous work on projects like Hot Rod and his contributions to Saturday Night Live demonstrate his understanding of how different comedic styles can be integrated effectively. His directorial vision appears to embrace the kind of eclectic casting that can create unexpected comedic combinations while maintaining narrative coherence. The collaborative nature of Schaffer's previous work suggests that he likely sought out performers who could contribute to the creative process beyond simply executing scripted material. Many of the cast members, from Neeson's dramatic experience to Koshi's digital content creation, bring skills that could enhance the film's creative development process. Schaffer's background in music video direction and sketch comedy also explains the casting of performers like Busta Rhymes and Cody Rhodes, who come from entertainment forms that prioritize visual creativity and performance energy over traditional dramatic training. Producer Seth MacFarlane's creative vision. Seth MacFarlane's role as producer and story originator has clearly shaped the casting philosophy throughout the development process. MacFarlane's experience creating and producing animated comedies like Family Guy and American Dad demonstrates his understanding of how different comedic voices can be integrated effectively within a single project. MacFarlane's initial interest in casting Liam Neeson suggests a vision for the franchise that embraces unexpected casting choices as a source of comedic potential. This philosophy appears to have influenced subsequent casting decisions, creating an ensemble that collectively represents a variety of performance backgrounds and comedic approaches. The diversity of the cast also reflects MacFarlane's demonstrated commitment to inclusive representation in his various projects. His involvement in the casting process has likely ensured that the film will feature a more diverse ensemble than the original trilogy while maintaining the comedic effectiveness necessary for franchise success. MacFarlane's understanding of contemporary pop culture and audience expectations has probably influenced the inclusion of digital age performers and crossover talents who can help the franchise appeal to modern audiences while respecting its historical identity. Commercial considerations and casting. The casting choices for The Naked Gun, 2025, clearly reflect significant commercial considerations designed to maximize the film's box office potential across multiple demographic groups. Each major casting decision appears to target specific audience segments while contributing to the overall comedic ensemble. Liam Neeson's involvement brings the considerable fan base he has developed through his action film career, particularly the Taken franchise, potentially attracting audiences who might not otherwise prioritize a comedy film. His international recognition also enhances the film's global commercial prospects. Pamela Anderson's casting appeals to nostalgic audiences who remember her prominence during the original trilogy's era, while also capitalizing on renewed interest in her career following recent documentary and dramatic projects. Her involvement could attract both male demographics familiar with her earlier career and female audiences interested in her recent reinvention. The inclusion of digital native performer Liza Koshy targets younger demographics who consume content primarily through social media platforms, potentially expanding the franchise's reach into markets that traditional marketing approaches might not effectively penetrate. Professional wrestler Cody Rhodes brings the passionate wrestling fanbase, representing a demographic known for strong loyalty and word-of-mouth promotion. Wrestling fans' enthusiasm for supporting their favorite performers in new ventures could provide significant promotional benefits. Acting range requirements. The casting choices suggest that The Naked Gun, 2025, will require significant acting range from its ensemble, balancing comedic timing with dramatic credibility in ways that honor the franchise's tradition while meeting contemporary audience expectations. Liam Neeson's casting indicates that the film will require its lead performer to maintain dramatic integrity while participating in increasingly absurd situations. This approach mirrors Leslie Nielsen's original performance strategy but requires adaptation to Neeson's more intense screen persona. Paul Walter Hauser's involvement as Captain Hacken suggests that supporting characters will need to provide both comedic relief and emotional grounding, requiring actors who can navigate tonal shifts effectively while maintaining character consistency. The ensemble nature of the cast indicates that the film will likely feature multiple comedic set pieces that require different actors to take comedic lead roles at various points, demanding versatility and collaborative skills from the entire cast. The inclusion of performers from different entertainment backgrounds suggests that the film will incorporate various comedic styles, requiring actors to adapt their individual approaches to serve the overall comedic vision while maintaining their distinctive qualities. Cultural representation and modernization. The casting of The Naked Gun, 2025, demonstrates a clear commitment to modernizing the franchise's cultural representation while maintaining its comedic effectiveness. This approach addresses criticisms of the original trilogy's limited diversity while expanding the franchise's contemporary relevance. CCH Pounder's inclusion brings significant African American representation to the main cast, addressing one of the most notable limitations of the original trilogy. Her established credibility and comedic timing ensure that this representation serves the story rather than merely fulfilling diversity requirements. Liza Koshy's casting represents both racial diversity and generational updating, bringing South Asian representation while connecting to contemporary digital culture. Her presence helps bridge generational gaps in audience appeal while contributing to more inclusive representation. Busta Rhymes' involvement connects the franchise to hip-hop culture, representing a significant cultural influence that was largely absent from the original trilogy. His casting could help the film feel more culturally current while respecting the franchise's comedic traditions. The overall casting strategy suggests an understanding that modern comedy must reflect contemporary cultural diversity to remain relevant, while the inclusion of established comedic talents ensures that representation serves artistic goals rather than merely demographic targets. Technical performance requirements. The specific demands of the Naked Gun franchise require cast members to excel in physical comedy, precise timing, and the ability to maintain character integrity during increasingly absurd situations. The casting choices suggest careful consideration of these technical requirements. Liam Neeson's action film background provides him with experience in physical performance and stunt coordination that could translate effectively to physical comedy requirements. His comfort with elaborate action sequences suggests he can handle the franchise's demanding physical comedy elements. Paul Walter Hauser's experience in both comedy and drama indicates his understanding of how to maintain character believability while participating in slapstick situations. His previous work demonstrates the kind of grounded performance approach that keeps absurd comedy from becoming merely silly. Professional wrestler Cody Rhodes brings extensive experience in physical performance and crowd interaction that could prove valuable for the franchise's combination of physical comedy and audience engagement requirements. The ensemble nature of the casting suggests that the film will feature elaborate group comedy sequences requiring precise timing and coordination among multiple performers, demanding collaborative skills and professional discipline from the entire cast. Franchise legacy and innovation balance. The casting strategy for The Naked Gun, 2025, reveals a sophisticated approach to balancing respect for the franchise's legacy with necessary innovation for contemporary audiences. Each casting decision appears designed to honor specific aspects of the original trilogy while updating them for modern relevance. Liam Neeson's casting as Frank Drebin Jr. rather than attempting to replace Leslie Nielsen directly demonstrates respect for Nielsen's irreplaceable contribution while creating space for new interpretation. This approach allows the film to build on this franchise's foundation without directly competing with iconic performances. Paul Walter Hauser's casting as Captain Hackon similarly honors George Kennedy's original interpretation while bringing contemporary sensibilities to the role. His dramatic range could add depth to the character while maintaining the essential dynamic with the lead character. The inclusion of contemporary performers like Liza Koshy and Busta Rhymes ensures that the film will include current cultural references and comedic styles while maintaining the franchise's core identity. This balance could help the film appeal to both nostalgic audiences and new viewers. The overall casting philosophy suggests confidence that the franchise's comedic foundation is strong enough to support contemporary reinterpretation while remaining recognizably part of the Naked Gun universe. International market considerations. The casting choices clearly reflect consideration of the film's international commercial potential, with several performers chosen specifically for their global recognition and appeal across different cultural markets. Liam Neeson's international stardom, developed through both dramatic and action roles, provides the film with significant global marketing advantages. His recognition factor in European, Asian, and other international markets could prove crucial for the film's worldwide commercial success. Danny Huston's European connections and international dramatic work add credibility and recognition factor in overseas markets where American comedy sometimes faces reception challenges. His presence in the cast signals serious artistic intentions that could help the film find acceptance in markets that might otherwise dismiss American comedic productions. The diversity of the cast also serves international marketing interests, as global audiences increasingly expect and respond positively to inclusive representation in major Hollywood productions. The varied backgrounds of the ensemble could help the film find success across different cultural contexts. Professional wrestler Cody Rhodes, while primarily known in American markets, represents the global appeal of wrestling entertainment, which has passionate international fanbases that could support the film's overseas distribution. Comedic style integration. The variety of comedic backgrounds represented in the cast suggests that The Naked Gun, 2025, will attempt to integrate multiple comedic styles while maintaining the franchise's distinctive identity. This approach could create a richer comedic texture than simple replication of the original trilogy's style. Liam Neeson's dramatic background provides the foundation for deadpan comedy delivery that defined Leslie Nielsen's approach, but his more intense screen presence could create different comedic opportunities based on contrast rather than natural timing. Liza Koshy's digital comedy experience brings contemporary improvisational skills and understanding of current humor trends that could help modernize the franchise's comedic approach while maintaining its essential character. Busta Rhymes' hip-hop background includes extensive experience with wordplay, timing, and visual comedy that could contribute new elements to the franchise's comedic toolkit while respecting its fundamental approach. The ensemble nature of the casting suggests that different characters will specialize in different comedic styles, creating a varied comedic landscape that could appeal to broader audience preferences while maintaining narrative coherence. Industry trend reflection. The casting choices for The Naked Gun, 2025, reflect several significant trends in contemporary Hollywood production, from the increasing prominence of streaming and digital performers to the continued importance of international market considerations. The inclusion of Liza Koshy represents Hollywood's growing recognition of digital native performers as legitimate entertainment talents capable of transitioning successfully to traditional media formats. Her casting suggests industry confidence in the commercial viability of social media stars in major studio productions. Professional wrestler Cody Rhodes' involvement reflects the continued success of wrestling performers in transitioning to Hollywood roles, following the path established by performers like Dwayne Johnson and John Cena. The diversity of the cast aligns with industry-wide efforts to improve representation both for social responsibility reasons and to appeal to increasingly diverse global audiences who expect inclusive casting in major productions. The balance between established stars and emerging talents reflects contemporary risk management strategies that combine proven commercial appeal with fresh perspectives that can generate publicity and audience interest. Character development possibilities. The range of acting experience represented in the cast suggests that The Naked Gun, 2025, may feature more substantial character development than typical in franchise comedy sequels, potentially adding emotional depth while maintaining comedic effectiveness. Liam Neeson's dramatic experience could allow for exploration of Frank Drebin Jr.'s relationship to his father's legacy, creating opportunities for both comedic and emotional moments that add depth to the character while serving the overall narrative. Paul Walter Hauser's proven ability to find humanity in flawed characters suggests that Captain Hacken could develop beyond a simple supporting role into a fully realized character with his own arc and growth throughout the film. CCH Pounder's extensive experience in character development could indicate that authority figure roles will possess greater depth and complexity than simple plot devices, potentially creating richer comedic opportunities through well-developed character relationships. The ensemble casting approach suggests that multiple characters will have opportunities for development and growth, creating a more substantial narrative foundation that could support both comedic and emotional storytelling goals. Production value implications. The caliber of performers assembled for The Naked Gun, 2025, suggests that Paramount Pictures has committed significant resources to ensuring production quality that matches the cast's collective reputation and expectations. Liam Neeson's involvement alone indicates substantial budget allocation, as his participation would require compensation commensurate with his star status and the opportunity cost of other potential projects. The diversity of cast backgrounds suggests that the production will need to accommodate different working styles and technical requirements, potentially indicating sophisticated production planning and management approaches. Danny Huston and CCH Pounder's reputations for professionalism in crafts suggest that the production environment will maintain high artistic standards, potentially elevating the overall quality of performances throughout the ensemble. The inclusion of performers from different entertainment sectors indicates that the production team has embraced the complexity of managing diverse talent while maintaining creative cohesion and narrative effectiveness. Marketing and promotional opportunities. The eclectic nature of the cast creates numerous marketing and promotional opportunities that could significantly benefit the film's commercial prospects across multiple demographic segments and promotional platforms. Liam Neeson's action star credentials provide opportunities for marketing campaigns that emphasize the film's action comedy elements while highlighting the unexpected nature of his comedic performance. Liza Koshy's social media expertise and established digital presence offer built-in promotional advantages through platforms that traditional Hollywood marketing might not effectively utilize. Professional wrestler Cody Rhodes brings access to wrestling entertainment promotional opportunities, including potential cross-promotional activities with WWE and other wrestling organizations. Busta Rhymes' music industry connections could provide promotional opportunities through hip-hop media and cultural channels that might not otherwise prioritize comedy film promotion. The diverse backgrounds represented in the cast create opportunities for targeted marketing campaigns that can reach specific demographic groups while building overall audience anticipation through varied promotional approaches. The Naked Gun has me asking, what happened to kill the comedy film? Tentpole, IP-driven franchises that sell well overseas have pushed the genre to the sidelines. Another issue is that comedy films often rely on star power. We haven't had a breakout comedic lead in the vein of Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler in years. The latter made the jump to streaming. A Happy Gilmore 2 fans rejoice. Melissa McCarthy once looked like the genre's savior, but her husband's heavy involvement in her projects arguably derailed her momentum. With no new marketable stars, comedy began blending into other genres. Deadpool Wolverine, for example. They say comedy evolves, but cancel culture and cultural shifts started to smother creative risk-taking. So, in a full-circle moment, Studios returned to The Naked Gun, the fourth installment of the classic spoof franchise, and it's the movie we didn't know we needed. The Naked Gun, 2025. Review and synopsis. Why? Because this gut-busting, genuinely hilarious comedy is the funniest of the year thanks to a cast and crew that fully commit to the bit. The story follows Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr., Liam Neeson, who has taken up the mantle of police squad from his father, leading the famed unit into the 21st century. He is partnered with Captain Ed Hawken Jr., the Fantastic Four, First Step's Paul Walter Hauser, who is the son of Frank's father's partner. Yes, it's a family affair at Police Squad, giving you all the nostalgic feels. However, not everyone is happy with the staffing at Police Squad D, including Frank's boss, Chief Davis, CCH Pounder. She objects to Frank's tactics, like pretending to be an adolescent schoolgirl to break up a robbery, then causing damage that makes its way up to the mayor's office. The Naked Gun remake is hilarious and the funniest film of the year. So, Frank is taken off the bank robbery case, where he is trying to track down a henchman, Kevin Durand from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, who stole a piece of equipment labeled PLOT device. He hands it off to a billionaire, Richard Kane, Wonder Woman's Danny Houston, who loves being a tech magnate, a rich white male, and, for some reason, pumpkins. The Naked Gun was written and directed by Akiva Schaffer, who rose to fame with Andy Samberg as a founding member of The Lonely Island, along with How I Met Your Mother and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend scribes Dan Gregor and Doug Mand. They've created a hilariously irreverent spoof filled with several moments of gut-busting hilarity. I was on the fence about Neeson, who has had a handful of funny comedy cameos like his cereal grocery store scene in Dead. However, his straight-man delivery and willingness to treat the most ridiculous situations with utter seriousness rival but never quite reach because of evolving comedy Leslie Nielsen's. That said, the star's ability to find sincerity and absurdity is pitch perfect here. The famed star, who I have been highly critical of, has been riding the coattails of digital and streaming junk like Ice Road, Vengeance. However, he had a straight line to my funny bone here. I don't want to totally spoil the film, but there are some very funny sequences here, ranging from running gags and visual jokes with juvenile wit to a love triangle involving an absurdist holiday misfortune that will surely have you giggling, if not laughing out loud. Even Pamela Anderson, who plays Beth, Frank's love interest, gives a very funny deadpan performance. The Naked Gun is worth watching because it is the funniest film of the year so far. It is an assault and battery of comedic senses, coming fast and furious, leaving you wanting more. You can watch The Naked Gun only in theaters on August 1st. The fourth installment of The Naked Gun is the movie we never knew we needed. It's an assault and battery on the comedic sense packed with gut-busting hilarity. Neeson has a pitch-perfect deadpan delivery. This reboot doesn't just revive the franchise, it is the funniest film of the year so far. This is where the tagline goes, but I couldn't think of one. The Naked Gun review. If you grew up with Modern Family and The Big Bang Theory, then you probably wouldn't know real humor if it hit you in the face as a giant bird dropping. However, if you have some gray hairs and keep forgetting your wife's birthday, then you know exactly what to expect. It's been over 30 years since we last saw the Police Squad and the antics of Frank Drebin. This type of comedy comes from an era free from online keyboard warriors and every Karen under the sun. Thankfully, Akiva Schaffer, Palm Springs, has gathered the balls to bring modern audiences a slapstick humor filled with stupid and outrageous gags. However, does this golden age of comedy stick the punchline, or should it have been kept in the cold case room? Find out in The Naked Gun review. The Naked Gun review a story. There's a surprising amount to unpack here, so let me empty my work bag and I'll be right back. A broken bar. Like every good comedy, we begin with a little girl beating up bad guys. Although in this case, it's Frank Drebin Jr., taking out the trash in the most comically serious way possible. After the criminals decide to press charges, because these days even the police have to follow the law, Frank gets taken off the case and put onto a crashed car incident with his partner Ed Jr. The car in question is a self-driving electric car from the evil billionaire corporation known as Contatc. The untimely death of Simon Davenport in this tragic accident leads Drebin to the CEO of Contatc, Richard Kane, Danny Houston. Their meeting is a tense but hilarious exchange of ridiculous quips, but by the end, Durbin realizes that the two cases are connected. Waiting for him back in police squad headquarters is the one and only Pamela Anderson. However, she is actually called Beth Davenport here, which was a bit odd. Regardless, she plays Simon's sister who strong-arms herself onto the case despite Durbin's hesitations. As the two team up, they investigate the secret club where men literally line up to get a beating from Durbin, and Beth sings "Sub Me" a broken bar. Interesting jazz as a distraction. The case brings them closer, and they decide to have a romantic getaway. To the dulcet tones of Starship's "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now." A short but incredibly funny interlude sees the happy couple spend some quality time together, which includes a very special snowman. After returning, they get back to the case where Durbin is set up for murder. He goes on the run only to find himself trapped in the electric car gifted to him by Kane, who tells Frank he was behind everything. With no help from the bees, Durbin escapes and gets his partner Ed Jr. to assist in capturing Kane's right-hand man. Confessing the plans, Frank Durbin only has mere hours to stop the evil bad guy's plans, throw some last-minute gags in and make his old father proud. Even though the story doesn't go too deep, it's interesting enough to keep viewers entertained. Not to mention the non-stop laughs that hardly ever stoop too low. This could possibly be the funniest movie of the year. The Naked Gun Review. Acting. There's no doubt that Leslie Nielsen was comic gold in his heyday, and trying to replace him as Frank Durbin seems an impossible task. However, the action star and seriously serious but not too serious. He was in Star Wars. Liam Neeson performs this role to perfection, never breaking his character as the all-too-serious Durbin, even when he's eaten too many chili dogs, faced with a dirty oven, and even getting upset over Season 1 of Buffy being lost on his TiVo. Co-starring along with Neeson is the bodacious and slow-running Pamela Anderson, who amplifies the comedy even more. Her sweet but stern outer persona mostly helps Durbin in his investigation, providing some great gags and witty comebacks. The supporting cast doesn't get a lot of time here in the short length of 85 minutes, especially Ed Jr., Paul Walter Hauser, who has scored a great series of roles as of late. The Fantastic Four, First Steps. He has some good lines with Durbin, but his character could have been utilized a lot more. The Naked Gun Review. Visuals, gags. This is a pretty straightforward cop movie, with inner monologue included, so there isn't a whole lot of CGI or amazing visuals here. However, the best part of this movie is the well-timed gags that come in all shapes and sizes. Some examples are, the cold case room being an actual refrigerator, numerous times where coffee gets handed to Durbin and Ed, beating up a bad guy with his own arms, and a hilarious car scene where Frank shoots out the windscreen for it to only be perfectly replaced with another. The Naked Gun Review. Audio to go along with the somewhat serious undertone of the crime thriller genre. All jokes aside, of course, the jazzy soundtrack that usually plays against Durbin's inner thoughts are wonderfully executed. Aside from that, there is a fantastic fight scene that has a backtrack of Fergiclius by the Black Eyed Peas where Durbin punches at least half a dozen men in the nuts. You literally can't make this stuff up. I mean, apart from the writers of Broken Bar who made it up, how Broken Bar, the icing on this very melted cake is the return of the original Naked Gun theme, redone by Lauren Baileff, that is played during the end credits. It even goes along with the classic police siren scene from the classic Shaw Police Squad, where it all began. The Naked Gun Review. Conclusion. Comedy sequels are hard enough to pull off, let alone one that comes from a bygone era. The original Naked Gun is a tough act to follow, considering most of its jokes would be harshly criticized in the modern media landscape. However, Akiva Schaffer has subverted expectations to bring a hilarious and ridiculous follow-up that would make Leslie Nielsen proud. Sure, it may not be everyone's cup of coffee, but the jokes are so abundant that I'm sure you'll find something to laugh at, even if it's Liam Neeson merely shitting his pants. So, why should you watch The Naked Gun? Humor in line with the original Naked Gun movies. Liam Neeson knocks it out of the park with his serious demeanor. But why shouldn't you watch The Naked Gun? Not a fan of silly, Slapstick comedy. You prefer serious movies? A preview screening was kindly provided by Paramount for the purpose of our The Naked Gun review. For a weirdly similar movie in some terms, check out our weapons review. You can also join us on the Qualbert Discord to chat about the latest superheroes on the big screen. This is where the tagline goes, but I couldn't think of one. The Naked Gun review. If you grew up with Modern Family and The Big Bang Theory, then you probably wouldn't know real humor if it hit you in the face as a giant bird dropping. However, if you have some gray hairs and keep forgetting your wife's birthday, then you know exactly what to expect. It's been over 30 years since we last saw The Police Squad and the antics of Frank Drebin. This type of comedy comes from an era free from online keyboard warriors and every Karen under the sun. Thankfully, Akiva Schaffer, Palm Springs, has gathered the balls to bring maddened audiences a slapstick humor filled with stupid and outrageous gags. However, does this golden age of comedy stick the punchline, or should it have been kept in the cold case room? Find out in The Naked Gun review. The Naked Gun review a story. There's a surprising amount to unpack here, so let me empty my work bag and I'll be right back. A broken bar. Like every good comedy, we begin with a little girl beating up bad guys, although in this case, it's Frank Drebin Jr., taking out the trash in the most comically serious way possible. After the criminals decide to press charges, because these days even the police have to follow the law, Frank gets taken off the case and put onto a crashed car incident with his partner Ed Jr. The car in question is a self-driving electric car from the evil billionaire corporation known as Contatc. The untimely death of Simon Davenport in this tragic accident leads Drebin to the CEO of Contatc, Richard Kane, Danny Houston. Their meeting is a tense but hilarious exchange of ridiculous quips, but by the end, Drebin realizes that the two cases are connected. Waiting for him back in Police Squad headquarters is the one and only Pamela Anderson. However, she is actually called Beth Davenport here, which was a bit odd. Regardless, she plays Simon's sister who strong-arms herself onto the case despite Drebin's hesitations. As the two team up, they investigate the secret club where men literally line up to get a beating from Drebin and Beth sings "Sub Me" a broken bar. Interesting jazz as a distraction. The case brings them closer, and they decide to have a romantic getaway. To the dulcet tones of Starship's "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now." A short but incredibly funny interlude sees the happy couple spend some quality time together, which includes a very special snowman. After returning, they get back to the case where Drebin is set up for murder. He goes on the run only to find himself trapped in the electric car gifted to him by Kane, who tells Frank he was behind everything. With no help from the bees, Drebin escapes and gets his partner Ed Jr. to assist in capturing Kane's right-hand man. Confessing the plans, Frank Drebin only has mere hours to stop the evil bad guy's plans, throw some last-minute gags in and make his old father proud. Even though the story doesn't go too deep, it's interesting enough to keep viewers entertained, not to mention the non-stop laughs that hardly ever stoop too low. This could possibly be the funniest movie of the year. The Naked Gun review. Acting. There's no doubt that Leslie Nielsen was comic gold in his heyday, and trying to replace him as Frank Drebin seems an impossible task. However, the action star and seriously serious but not too serious, he was in Star Wars. Liam Neeson performs this role to perfection, never breaking his character as the all-too-serious Drebin, even when he's eaten too many chili dogs, faced with a dirty oven and even getting upset over Season 1 of Buffy being lost on his TiVo. Co-starring along with Neeson is the bodacious and slow-running Pamela Anderson, who amplifies the comedy even more. Her sweet but stern outer persona mostly helps Drebin in his investigation, providing some great gags and witty comebacks. The supporting cast doesn't get a lot of time here in the short length of 85 minutes, especially Ed Jr., Paul Walter Hauser, who has scored a great series of roles as of late. The Fantastic Four, First Steps. He has some good lines with Drebin, but his character could have been utilized a lot more. The Naked Gun review. Visuals, gags. This is a pretty straightforward cop movie, with inner monologue included, so there isn't a whole lot of CGI or amazing visuals here. However, the best part of this movie is the well-timed gags that come in all shapes and sizes. Some examples are, the cold case room being an actual refrigerator, numerous times where coffee gets handed to Durbin and Dead, beating up a bad guy with his own arms, and a hilarious car scene where Frank shoots out the windscreen for it to only be perfectly replaced with another. The Naked Gun review audio to go along with the somewhat serious undertone of the crime thriller genre. All jokes aside, of course, the jazzy soundtrack that usually plays against Durbin's inner thoughts are wonderfully executed. Aside from that, there is a fantastic fight scene that has a backtrack of Fergiclius by the Black Eyed Peas where Durbin punches at least half a dozen men in the nuts. You literally can't make this stuff up. I mean, apart from the writer Sa Broken Bar who made it up, how Broken Bar, the icing on this very melted cake is the return of the original Naked Gun theme, redone by Lauren Baileff, that is played during the end credits. It even goes along with the classic police siren scene from the classic Shaw Police Squad, where it all began. The Naked Gun review a conclusion: comedy sequels are hard enough to pull off, let alone one that comes from a bygone era. The original Naked Gun is a tough act to follow, considering most of its jokes would be harshly criticized in the modern media landscape. However, Akiva Schaffer has subverted expectations to bring a hilarious and ridiculous follow-up that would make Leslie Nielsen proud. Sure, it may not be everyone's cup of coffee, but the jokes are so abundant that I'm sure you'll find something to laugh at, even if it's Liam Neeson nearly shitting his pants. So, why should you watch The Naked Gun? Humor in line with the original Naked Gun movies. Liam Neeson knocks it out of the park with his serious demeanor. But why shouldn't you watch The Naked Gun? Not a fan of silly, slapstick comedy. You prefer serious movies. A preview screening was kindly provided by Paramount for the purpose of our The Naked Gun review. For a weirdly similar movie in some terms, check out our weapons review. You can also join us on the Qualbert Discord to chat about the latest superheroes on the big screen. Director, Akiva Schaffer. Paramount Pictures, Fuzzy Door Productions in theaters, August 1, 2025. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Airplane, from 1980, is one of my all-time favorite comedies. David and Jerry Zucker's direction and affinity for absurd slapstick comedy with Leslie Nielsen's impeccable comedic timing has made the film an easily rewatchable treat. Whenever I go back to it, I always find a new joke or detail in the background. So it is no wonder that the duo would later reunite to release The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad, and spawn a trilogy. Now in the era of remakes and sequels, it was only a matter of time before one of the Zuckers' iconic titles was reintroduced to the big screen with The Naked Gun, functioning as a legacy sequel to the original trilogy. The Naked Gun follows the son of Nielsen's Lieutenant, Frank Durbin, Lieutenant Frank Durbin Jr., Liam Neeson, Taken, Star Wars, Episode I and The Phantom Menace, as he investigates the murder of a software engineer with the victim's true crime fiction author sister, Beth Davenport, Pamela Anderson, Baywatch, The Last Showgirl. The murder is soon revealed to be a part of a much larger plot schemed by billionaire Richard Kane, Danny Houston, The Aviator, Wonder Woman, to revert people's brains back to their animalistic instincts and cull the population. The highlight of the film is clearly Neeson's performance. His signature graveness and deadpan delivery offers the perfect juxtaposition to the ridiculousness of the script. In many ways, he is the perfect successor to Nielsen since both share a similar acting history of being known as serious actors before moving on to more comedic roles. All the best comedies know that to make absurdity work, it must be delivered with the level of earnestness. His romantic and comedic chemistry with Anderson makes for some enjoyable back and forth and a fun send-up of film noir tropes. In fact, the whole cast fits perfectly into their roles. CCH Pounder, Avatar, The Way of Water, Nsys, New Orleans, was obviously the best choice to play the no-nonsense Chief Davis. Paul Walter Hauser, The Fantastic Four, First Steps, Cruella, works great as Durbin's bumbling partner Captain Ed Hawkins Jr. As expected with any Naked Gun installment, the film is brimming with visual gags. I would say my favorite one is the running coffee gag that just gets more ridiculous as the movie progresses. Durbin's over-the-top law enforcement antics work to great comedic effect, while also not being too far off from the current state of law enforcement. The jokes are non-stop, so there's always another one just around the corner that will hit. The only disadvantage of having non-stop jokes would be that some jokes don't get the chance to build, thereby not allowing the film to reach the same levels of absurdity as the original. It also doesn't help that the credits even show a joke from the original film, which would only invite comparisons. One of the most memorable scenes in the film is the romantic montage in the middle of the film involving some tension with the snowman. It sticks with you because the joke is allowed to build and go to surreal places. Still, the film is an obvious crowd pleaser. I should know considering I could hear the whole audience in my theater laughing. The Naked Gun is a welcome addition to the comedic franchise and to cinemas. It is a dumb surrealist time, and with the announcement of Mel Brooks' Spaceballs 2 we are in for some great comedies. Angela Garcia. Read more film reviews from Slug here. Film review: The Bad Guys 2 film review, Abraham's Boys, a Dracula story. Since there are few things worse than reading a film critic describe jokes from a hilarious movie in ways that strip them of their entertainment value, I'll keep this review nice, brief, and summary-free. Akiva Schaffer's The Naked Gun is one of the best revivals of a comedy franchise in recent memory. It's a tribute to the sturdiness of the Zucker-Abrams Zucker joke, a second model, and the enduring appeal of the ludicrous deadpan delivered by formerly straight-laced acting talent. If the Friedberg-Seltzer crew hadn't tanked the format by association with all of the scary/disaster/superhero movies, and I'll be real with you, once Zucker started directing the scary movie sequels, they got legitimately funny. For at least one installment, we might still regularly see these kinds of features on the big screen. Comedy, it seems, is either meant for streaming or is a pulpit for the kind of hoary moralizing usually reserved for Love Ice, a broken bar newspaper comics. You know, the Judd Apatow having children and popping boner pills doesn't mean you can't commit minor felonies with the boys on the weekends. You're still young, at heart. Shit. The primary animus for most modern comedic filmmaking comes from anxiety and insecurity, at least when it's not accompanied by a more obvious genre chaser, horror, for example, and I guess you can attribute that to the silver screen comedian's desire to be taken seriously. This is why Adam Sandler went to Netflix, say he can be funny there, and appear on the big screen for a challenge in a Safdie's feature. And it's why great comedy has a home on social media platforms, where the stakes are so low to be inconsequential. The business of comedy is too big to be funny. However, the words anxiety and insecurity have never described Schaffer's career as a filmmaker. He makes broad, goofy, exceptionally funny features, a hot rod, pop star, that Chip and Dale reboot that surprised the hell out of everyone a few years ago when it hit Disney+, and he's an extraordinarily skilled gag writer. After all, one doesn't spend 20 years as a key part of the Lonely Island crew if they can't nail a joke. Along with co-writers Dan Greger and Doug Mand, he seamlessly makes the transition from the heyday of Leslie Nielsen and George Kennedy to the modern era of Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. He does so without being overly reverential, though there are some reconstituted and updated gags from the prior installments, while avoiding the pitfalls of a full-on reboot. Schaffer never pauses for a laugh or winks and nods at you to chuckle. To do so would cause a jam in the chamber, and the whole automatic fire operation might blow up in his face. If a gag misses, there's plenty more in the magazine, but his accuracy is genuinely astounding. If he were target shooting, you'd see some scattered bullet holes around the edges, but you'd likely notice the fact that the head is missing. Seriously, there is something here for everyone, provided one enjoys the feeling of laughing in a darkened, crowded theater as opposed to the smirk that comes with a latter season Arrested Development episode. There are goofy puns, groan-worthy innuendos, expertly crafted punchlines, sight gags, pratfalls, and absurdist flights of fancy, all delivered without a hint of pretension. Yet Schaffer wouldn't be able to make the film work without his leads, as Neeson and Anderson are a genuinely brilliant combination on screen. He's always been, secretly, very funny, and his career arc has bent in stranger ways. Had you asked someone about the guy from Michael Collins' Robing Up for a Star War, they would have looked at you crazy, much less figured he'd go on to become the patron saint of the B-action movie. Neeson is effortlessly funny, which means it requires a ton of work on his part, as he somehow manages to get through the lines he's given without breaking. A favorite quote, "Like an idiot's completed jigsaw puzzle, I was framed." He's just so game for everything that Schaefer throws at him, but, like Neeson, he never ever suggests that he's in on the joke. After all, he is the goddamn joke, and he's one of the main reasons you're here to laugh. What's better is how beautifully he's paired with Anderson, who is riding a career renaissance after unfairly spending 2 decades as a punchline. Everything critics hated about her work in the past is an asset here, and yes, I'll come out and say that Barbed Wire is the funniest possible Casablanca remake, and might even suggest to them that, God forbid, some of her work in her prior movies might have been a broken bar intentional. Her comedic timing is incredible, her commitment to the bit rivals Neeson's, and they make such a charming pair on screen. If there were justice for comedic performers in the awards scene, they'd both get Oscars. Yet such are the pitfalls of being the leads in a valley against those who'd scoff at either of them outside of these confines. For all of our era's flippancy and witty bants, we are plagued by seriousness. The Jack Kirby panels brought to life are drained of their stylized poetry. The children's story we adapt sapped of their whimsy. The comedy's fables that Aesop might have spun for 40-year-olds who can't seem to stop using the word adulting in polite conversation. As such, we've stopped being able to identify seriousness when it matters. The Naked Gun is seriously devoted to making you laugh so hard that you think you might join Chrysippus of Soli and the Died from Laughter Circle of Hell, and it goes about its task with ruthless efficiency. It's 85 minutes of pure bliss, which frequently had me laughing so hard I thought I'd never get another breath in edgewise. So, yeah, Leslie Nielsen can rest easy. Frank Drebin Jr. can fill the shoes and pick up the slack. Hopefully for 10 more of these. Bring on the sequels, please, please. Now and then, when I am at risk of taking myself too seriously, an old-fashioned slapstick comedy is a most satisfactory remedy. The Naked Gun, Paramount Pictures, showing now at the Montrose Playhouse, is the most potent such remedy to have come along in ages. "Who are you?" asks a character in the opening minutes. "Frank Drebin, Police Squad." The new version, he replies, and the starting pistol is fired on a breezy 1 hour and 25 minutes of relentless wisecracks, giggles, and groans. What struck me last Friday evening, opening night at the Playhouse, was that the frequent belly laughter from the large audience is noticeable within the first few minutes after. I was furious about the Janet Jackson Super Bowl. That was 20 years ago. Was the real thing. Nowadays comedy isn't really like these, and The Naked Gun feels like a clean throwback to the 1980s, and it takes a while to get back into this groove, like mounting a push bike again after many years. The style of The Naked Gun, like the earlier Airplane movies, has always been to reward the audience for paying very close attention to what is going on at the outsides of the screen, not just to the characters. I didn't expect to be so impressed with how faithfully this has been recreated in 2025. Frank, played by Liam Neeson, is moved from investigating armed robbery to traffic violations after a botched rescue operation in a bank, during which a small computer called PLOT device is stolen. He is ordered to wear a body camera pointed in the wrong direction at Frank rather than away from him so that the station can keep an eye on him. Looking into the death of a man following a car crash, he teams up with the victim's sister, Beth, played by Pamela Anderson, who writes true crime novels based on fictional crimes that I make up. While helping Frank's investigations, she falls in love with him. Bond baddie clone Richard Kane, played by Danny Houston, has developed an evil audio frequency device which reduces the brain to its animalistic core, and will activate it during a wrestling match on New Year's Eve. His dastardly plan includes protecting a few of the chosen inside a super bunker, to emerge later as a group called the Founding Fathers of a New Eden. All very Moonraker, 1979, the filmmakers are actually using the body camera as a plot device. A day in Frank's life is always a non-stop series of chaotic ups and downs. Take a scene where a suspect from the robbery has been hauled in for questioning. Given that Frank is much more interesting to the audience, the body camera allows a neat pivot back to a study of him when he is alone carrying on his detective work, downing 5 chili hot dogs and using his gun to disperse a queue waiting outside a restroom. For instance, the second device that is used successfully to mix the semi-serious business of the plot with the completely nonsensical is Frank's off-camera monologue. On the crazy end would be something like, "In this city usual is unusual, a broken bar usually. Sometimes to get the job done you have to break the law. I do it all the time," Frank says. Since when do cops have to follow the laws? There is a hilarious example towards the end involving the abduction and drugging of one of the baddie's lackeys. Much of the humor is made up of classic one-liners, as she had a body that carried a head around. "Make one more move and I'll blow its computer brains right over the floor." The other major style is short plays on words between characters. "May I speak freely? I prefer English," or "Testosterone levels are down across the board. I've never put my testosterone across a board," or comedic misunderstandings where expressions have two different meanings. Frank suggests that Beth take a seat, and she physically picks one up and takes it out of the police station. And we always have to keep a beady eye on what goes on the outermost part of the show. A riff on coffee cups, or sparkling water arriving as a glass with the sparkler poking out, or the side of a prison being pulled away as Frank drives his new car for the first time. I'll reveal nothing about the set-piece scene involving a dog, a turkey baster and a pair of night vision glasses, except that it is side-splittingly funny. The trick with this kind of humor is to keep it deadpan enough of the characters must play the roles entirely straight. As such, many of the funniest scenes include Frank's boss, Chief Davis, superbly played with precisely the right degree of mock seriousness by CCH Pounder. In a hilarious sequence after she has been woken from sleep to be told of Frank's latest shenanigans, she orders, "Get me Dribbin'," at which point he appears immediately, genie-like, in her bedroom. Without missing a heartbeat, she starts dressing him down in an insistent whisper because her husband, lying next to her in bed wearing his pajamas and sporting airline-style eyeshades, mustn't be disturbed. The scene is flawless. Later, she marches into the marvelously named Ponzi scheme arena, supporting her husband is still in his pajamas and eyeshades, fast asleep on her right arm. One tip: make sure not to skip until the very end of the credits, when the Paramount logo reappears. The first part is accompanied by a truly terrible love song that Frank has composed for Beth. Mr. Neeson cannot sing, but buried as text within the rolling list of names can be found such bonbons as, on-set dressing a ranch/Russian/Italian/vinaigrette, tool, non-person a buzzsaw, Netflix password, tennis grips, please read aloud, followed by an optician's eye examination chart. The film proper closes with a knowing wink to Mr. Neeson's age. Frank describes the various advantages of old men, and while seeming to describe the benefits of seeking revenge, vigilante style, against mortal enemy, a few seconds of the best feeling you would ever have in your life. He is surely summarizing his experience of making the film. "Man, that was awesome," he says.